Let's talk about Aldi because I want to keep the show rolling based off of a conversation that we had yesterday, right? So yesterday we broke down that Walmart, one out of every four people, statistically speaking, this is not my opinion, this is data. One out of every four people, over 25%, 25.2% of all groceries sold in the United States come from Walmart. Now, I also added additional context in that Walmart is leveraging technology and AI, and they're spending a lot of money on research and development and acquiring multiple different companies that then allow for them to eliminate all of the mistakes that come along with all of these workers that's asking for $25 an hour and automating the process. But also, in addition to that, a lot of the groceries that Walmart sell are loss leaders because they wanted to drive out the mom and pop businesses and other people that they were competing against. And they're not worried as much about it because they have the infrastructure. And also, the way in which they make the majority of their money has nothing to do with groceries. That's how much money they gross. The profitability, the profit margins don't come from groceries. Often at times they sell it for $1 cheaper than other competitors are able to buy it. They're using their scale to get better prices, but they're also using those better prices to get you in the store. And then they're hoping for you to go over into other parts of the store, buy some socks, buy some pillows, maybe get a couple electronics, look for a TV, maybe get a candle or two, go and get you some XJ9000 gym shoes that your son gonna dislike, that he gonna get teased at in school, get you a candy bar on your way out the door, get some Tic Tacs, make sure that you're getting your breath straight so you can go over that side chick's house, all of that, right? So the ways in which Walmart are able to leverage their size and scale in order to continue to drive out the competition and run up profits calls for you to spend 25.2% of all of, or everybody, 25.2% of all the population are buying their groceries from Walmart, right? But Aldi is on the rise. And let me tell you how excited I am in order to review this from Aldi. Because when I was growing up, you know what my dad said? He had made the sacrifice to send us to middle school, to send me and my brother to private school and middle school. And he said, I'm not going to buy a new car. I'm going to invest in y'all. And so for those 2 years, it completely changed the view that I have on life, success, money, culture, the whole 9 yards. It was one of the best things that ever happened to me. He said, man, let me tell you something. I'm driving this Thunderbird. It was a Thunderbird with different colors on the side of the cars and stuff like that. He said, I'm driving this Thunderbird. He said, you know what, Anton? It was me, my 3 brothers, him and my mom. And then we also had some straggle-along people from the neighborhood and guys that wanted to hoop and didn't want to go home because they was born to single baby mamas that didn't know who their baby daddy was. He said, let me tell you something, Anton. I could feed this whole household for $10. I said, bull crap. We had an Aldi because I stayed on Green Lawn between 8 Mile and 7 Mile between Wyoming and Livernois, right? And if you walk literally all the way down to the corner store and then you cross the street over to Ferndale, because I was 2 blocks away from 8 Mile, you can walk over to an Aldi. And so it was a brand new Aldi store to compete with the Kroger that they had built down the street, right? And if you walked into Aldi and they had all of these off-brand products, and he would make sure that he taught us. And he taught us. And see, that's what a lot of women don't understand. We know what to do for, I'm a cook on a Wednesday night show tonight. Trust me, it's going to be a great show. Men ain't incapable of being able to do what it is that you say you bring to the table. We're going to get to Aldi in a minute. Give me a second. Let me cook. We're not incapable. When you say what you bring to the table, if you're not Miss Rodriguez from the last show, we watching you with a close eye because what you do, we can already do for ourselves. I know how to clean. I ain't even got to clean the way that I was taught. We got dishwashers now. I know how to wash clothes. I ain't even got to wash the way that we used to wash. We got these practically do-it-yourself all-in-one washing machine and dryers now. We can do all of the things that you done. Listen, my mom and my dad taught me to be able to fend for myself. You a plus one, not a requirement. You know what I'm saying? And that's what these guys need to start telling these women out here. I know how to clean for myself. I can cook, I can do whatever I need to do. My dad taught me to Aldi's. He told me I could be able to feed myself and my family for under $10 in a day. That's a fact, though. Real talk. So Aldi is the fastest growing grocer in the United States, and it's not even from the United States. Let's review what the Wall Street Journal has discovered for us. Let's break it down and let's have a conversation because we want to look for the investment opportunities. Do we not?
This half gallon of whole milk from Aldi costs $2.18. Eggs, $1.87. Bread, $1.29. Aldi is the fastest growing grocer by store count in the country. And
Hold on, wait. Let's stop there for a second. Let me back up for 1 second. Everybody keep telling me about how expensive it is out here in these streets. The Wall Street Journal told me that milk, as of right now, this is not an old article, this is right now, is $2.18 for a half gallon, $1.87 for a dozen of eggs, and you can go and get you some bread for $1.29. Let me tell you something. You know what I see right there? I see an egg sandwich. And I don't even need the milk aspect of it. But if you want to put a little bit of milk in your eggs in order to get it together, I see egg sandwiches. I don't need nothing else. Take out the $2.18, the $1.29 and the $1.87. That get me over $3, slightly over $3, if my mental math is correct. I see an egg sandwich right there. Don't sit here and tell me about how expensive it is for you to be able to survive. I see egg sandwiches, and I can throw an extra egg in there if I want to. I can go over to Aldi's and make sure that I can cook myself some breakfast, and y'all keep acting like you got to spend over $1,000 a month in order to be able to feed yourself because you want to make the excuse to go out there and do what you want to do instead of doing what you can do in order to survive. I don't even need the bread. I can just make the eggs. Don't sit here and tell me about how much it costs in order for you to feed yourself. That's because you keep lying to yourself, telling you that it takes 3 meals a day, and you want some salmon. I know y'all ghetto ones. Y'all think that it's called salmon. You don't know that the L is silent because you ain't never been nowhere. Keep talking about you want to go to Roof Chris, Beanie Ha Ha. You don't want to go over to Cheesecake Factory. You don't even know how to pronounce salmon. You don't even know how to pronounce salmon correct. Keep calling me and say, take you to a nice restaurant. I want some salmon. Bruh, you out here embarrassing me in front of the people? Nah, don't worry about it. I tell the waiter later, don't worry about it. She a little uncultured. We gonna get her there though. We gonna get her there. But some of y'all just now figured out that it was called salmon. Y'all ain't even know that it wasn't called salmon, did you? Let's continue. This is about Aldi. Let's continue.
The fastest growing grocer by store count in the country, and its no-frills approach has also made it one of the cheapest. For the past decade, it's been growing at a rate of about 100 stores per year, and when an economic downturn hits, it thrives.
It's about simplicity, and it's about efficiency, and it's about a consistent experience all the time.
This is the economics of Aldi. So how does the company keep its prices so low? Take its store setup.
You walk in, and the moment you step foot in our store, you can see all 4 walls.
Aldi's are typically around 12,000 square feet, about the same as a Trader Joe's, and much smaller than the average supermarket. Operating a smaller space saves money when buying the property, on the lease, and on utilities.
So Aldi is doing the very thing that we advocate for you to do on a personal level and what we advocate for people to do in their business, which is drive the cost out and then pass the savings over to the consumer while still turning a profit, which is one of the reasons why they're able to do the very thing that they're doing. See, when you go into the grocery store and y'all want all of these fancy signs and you want to check out, when I go into Aldi, I see working managers. I don't see people over there with no clipboard. They ain't got no loss prevention officers that they got to pay. Everybody not making $25 an hour. They got working managers. They don't worry about the person going to get the cart. They solve for it. They engineered solutions that allow for them to be able to pass that over to the consumer. You know why? Because they don't have to hire the little kids to go out there and try to get the carts from the outside. They then say, hey, make people put a quarter in that joint. And if they want to get their quarter back, then they got to go back and take their cart back on their own, and they solve for it. Then they eliminated all the additional costs that they can then pass over to the consumer. That's why, because the true cost of something is the entirety of being able to run the business divided by what you sell on an individual basis, right? And so what they figured out is how to drive the costs out that then allow for them to be able to run up profitability and pass that over to the consumer because they're trying to scale and not then whip you into submission with price. See, when you look at Trader Joe's, when you look at Whole Foods, even when you look at a lot what's going on in these specialty Kroger stores and Publix and stuff like that, they're trying to give you an experience. But for people that's just trying to save money and get in and out for what it is that they want, they're trying to give you products at the cheapest price point possible that allow for them to be able to run up the profits, but then at the same time, they have to engineer solutions that allow for them to not have people then drive up the costs, because then they want to unionize and they want to continue to run up the bag. I thought y'all was all about the American worker. Why y'all love Aldi so much? Because it hit your pocketbooks. And when it started becoming personal, you start taking a personal play in it.
The layout at Aldi is as much designed for our operational efficiency as anything. And so being very specific about the amount of footsteps it takes to service our store, and a very limited store size allows us to operate a very efficient operation. And that creates a lot of value.
To further its efficiency, Aldi doesn't have extra services like a customer help desk, a fresh bakery, or butcher, and it stocks significantly fewer products. Supermarkets typically carry around 31,000 products. Trader Joe's has about 4,000, but Aldi stocks about 1,600. Often, there are just 3 to 5 employees on the sales floor, so having fewer items and leaving them in the boxes they were delivered in means employees spend less time stocking shelves.
Driving the cost out. How do they drive the cost out? Well, the way that they drive the cost out is that they've figured out how to even stock the products more efficiently than the people that work overnight or throughout the store, giving you a variety of the different products that they have to stock because they're driving out the labor. In addition to that, they've curated the amount of products that they carry on their store shelves to not have so much of a variety, but then to offer you exactly what they think that you need or what is going to sell. You need eggs, they got eggs. They're not going to have 20 different types of eggs. These are the eggs. You want barbecue sauce? We got this barbecue sauce. We've been able to negotiate with whoever it is that distributed. This is barbecue sauce. Watermelon is watermelon. Ain't no this over there, it grown over there. Watermelon is water. They got back to the basics of what it took in order to offer you the products that you need, not the products that people think that they want, so that you then drive up inflation and the cost of what it takes in order for you to do business. So if you want variety, that's what you can go to another grocery store for. If you want to just get straight to it and get what you need in order to see, it's different when you ain't got it. When you ain't got it, you get what you need. When you think you got it, you get what you want. And that's the difference. And so if you look at how it is that they structure the store, it's very, very straightforward. I would also have you guys to know that Aldi is not a publicly traded company. Well, what does that mean, Anton? That means that they have more of an incentive to drive out the cost and drive up profitability instead of operating the same way with the inefficiencies of publicly traded companies that's then floated by daddy's money, meaning the investors. Twitter, for years before Elon Musk bought them, was losing money. They lost money every single year that they were in existence. Twitter never, ever turned a profit. The minute that Elon Musk got it, everybody complained about all of the efficiencies that he was creating for it. You know why? Because he had a vested interest in seeing it profitable and driving out the cost that was then tearing the company apart. When you are a privately owned company, you then look to become profitable because every single thing that you do matters, and you have to drive out the cost, and you run it differently than a publicly traded company. It's a fact. Let's continue.
These cost-cutting strategies are critical to Aldi's profit margin, and they're why the company is able to offer items that are cheaper than the national average. But they also serve another purpose. They help maintain Aldi's image as a discount store. Customers make compensatory inferences. Basically, marketing experts say when
you ain't gonna get no Cheerios over there. It's crispy oats. It looked the same when you pour it out of the box, but you're not getting no Cheerios, no Frosted Flakes. You getting flakes that's frosted. No Cheerios is crispy oats. No Frosted Flakes is flakes that's frosted. Flat out. You want the stuff that got the Marvel logo on it that they got to pay for the licensing in order to get it over to you? Count Chocula and all of this other type of stuff, crunch berries and stuff like that. You not getting none of that, family. You getting the stuff from Millville, not the Villa to Mill. You know what I'm saying? You know, your friends used to come over like, hey, man, y'all ain't got no Frosted Flakes with the tiger on it that say great. Nah, fam, we got that one with the king on there. You know what I'm saying? Y'all ain't never had King Vitamin before. Listen. King Vitamin was crazy, yo. King Vitamin was crazy. Yo, I remember being so poor at one point when the economy was hitting. We wasn't even buying a cereal that had boxes on it. We was buying a cereal that just came in a plastic bag. Y'all ain't never had that before. Listen, I know everybody rich. Everybody was born rich. Everybody was born with a silver spoon in their mouth. But let me help you to understand something. When you ain't got it, you don't look right directly into the store shelf that's in the middle. You look up and you look down. And then the down part, it was the part where it just had a bag on it. Now, I don't know if they still do that year. Yeah, Fruit Rounds, Polar Bear on the box, King Vitamin. Yeah, listen, I had King Vitamin growing up. It was different. Some of y'all might not be familiar with it. I know y'all come from good backgrounds. Y'all parents spoiled y'all. I remember having King Vitamins. It wasn't called Lucky Charms back then. That was when it was a good week. When Daddy got his bonus, Lucky Charms, and woo, they started making the variations of it. Count Chocula. My dad kept the Count Chocula in his room. He said, this is my Count Chocula. Don't nobody. And then, you know, when he left, we figured out the combination. Go steal a little bit of Count Chocula, mix it in with our Lucky Arms. Y'all don't know nothing about Lucky Arms. I ain't say Lucky Charms. The C and the H was removed. It was Lucky Arms. I don't even know where they got that cereal from. I don't even know if that was a cereal. It was a Spartan Foods store. Lucky Arms? That junk was crazy. I ain't never seen no Lucky Arms before. Flat out. Listen. Wasn't no toasted strudels. Wasn't no Pop-Tarts. It was berry tarts. You know what I'm saying? It was different for us. And so now that inflation is up, y'all starting to embrace this. Y'all was acting like y'all was too good for it, but it's different now.
When people see an item's price, they quickly make assumptions about the product. If it's cheap, they may assume it's lower quality, which is why Aldi's no-frills strategy is so effective. From the moment customers put quarters in their carts and walk into the store, they can see all the ways
I already knew about this. See, I'm a regular person just like everybody else.
Aldi reduces costs. Marketing experts say these tactics all signal to the customer that milk, eggs, and bread are cheaper at Aldi because of its efficiency rather than its quality. Though the results of its cost-cutting strategies aren't always popular with customers.
Somebody said non-brand food isn't great. Fam, don't y'all know that it be made in the same factories? I'm gonna have to really give y'all a deep dive to understand exactly how these companies operate. Kellogg's and General Mills and all of that. Most of the time, this stuff is built in the exact same factories on the same line with different brands that got different agreements with manufacturers and people that, man, y'all don't be knowing, man. A lot of times, y'all eating the same stuff and you don't even realize it. You just getting marketed to differently.
In a survey of roughly 6,500 people, Aldi scored on par with or slightly lower than many of its peers in categories like store cleanliness and item availability. But there's another key tactic.
Or they threw some extra sugar in there that ain't even good for you.
Grocers use to aid their low-cost images: known value items. These are staple household products whose prices people often remember. As Aldi has expanded across the country, other grocers have reduced their prices in response, particularly on these types of items.
When Aldi comes in, it prompts other retailers to look at their prices again and kind of, surgically examine how to adjust what they sell and for how much.
That's because when people see lower prices for staple goods, they infer that the business offers low prices all around.
But the interesting thing about it is that, and I think this is a marketing lesson to people, what white labeling and things like that. And we're going to get through all of that this year before the end of the year. Actually, I might just do it for the Patreon members. I don't know. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. The interesting thing about all of this, I remember one of the ways that my mother was solution for this is when she would buy the item, she would take it out of whatever the box is, and she had like these little decorative see-through jars or whatever like that that look really dope. And so you would put it in there. It's similar, like, I don't know if y'all stayed in hotels where, you know, they have the cereals and these little dispensers or whatever like that. It was similar to that. And it actually looked better and it looked much richer, right, than if you would have just left it in the box, because you actually had to grab the jar, or you had to grab these decorative things, and then you poured the cereal out of that, right? So, I mean, it's all marketing. The way that we even market ourselves, the way that we market our households or how we decorate and stuff like that, it's all marketing. But when it comes back down to it, I think that people are becoming more price conscious, and they don't really care about what it is, because don't nobody even come into your house anyway. Everybody working from home.
And when it comes to value for dollar, Aldi ranked highest in the customer survey at 96%. But stores can only compete on price so much without hurting their profit margins. So what does Aldi use other than price point to draw in customers? It's private label items. 90% of Aldi's stock is private label. Like its other strategies, this reduces costs for the company.
And guess what? A lot of these other companies, including Whole Foods and Trader, if you go into any Trader Joe's, most of that stuff is private label. It's how they present it to you. It's how they sell it to you. I'm telling you, man, listen, I be over in Brickell in Miami, and I be staying right there. And if you're over in Midtown in Miami, shortly off of Biscayne, and if you walk over to the Trader Joe's, and see, the way that my brain works is I start looking at stuff a little bit differently. Everything in Trader Joe's is white label. Everything is their own brand. And so they're able to mark up or mark down based off of the perception that you have of the brand. And then Aldi is doing the same thing, except for they're just trying to drive the cost out because they're scaling more effectively. So Trader Joe's doesn't have to sell as much in order to be as profitable. And Aldi is in scaling in that they're selling a lot more of the same thing, a lot more efficient, and then driving the same level of profitability or more, which then gives the consumer, right, a better way in which they can survive in today's economy, especially now that all things is going up. But here's the flip side. Here's the question that I got for y'all. Hey, ladies, y'all ready to go on a date to Aldi or what?
Take all of our buying power and we put it into the 7 most popular or common salad dressings that a customer might buy. That allows us to deal directly with manufacturers and make sure that we get the best cost price.
Analysts say that Trader Joe's uses private label items to differ from competitors by creating items that customers can only
own everything. On my father's grave, I have not watched this show. I have not watched this video before I'm reviewing it with y'all. On my father's grave, I have not watched this show. On my daughter's life, I have not watched this show before I started breaking it down to y'all. I'm already giving you the sauce before they start breaking it down themselves.
Only find there. Like its ube mochi pancake mix and butternut squash mac and cheese. But at Aldi, you'll find private label items that look quite similar to the most well-known national brands. Instead of wheat thins, Aldi has thin wheat.
I told you, man. Instead of wheat thins, they switch the word around and they say thin wheats. And you don't even be thinking about it. You just be like, hey, man, can you go get me some of them wheat thins over there? Your homeboy like, hey, man, they got thin wheats. All right. I mean, yeah, that's what I meant. Thin wheats. Yeah. The thin wheats. You getting the same thing, bro.
According to analysts, this is because Aldi wants customers to think they're essentially getting the same product, but at a significant discount.
There was a time when the perception was, they're the generic brand and, they're just cheaper, but not as good as the national brands. And those days are over.
As consumers felt the lasting impacts of inflation, sales of store brand products increased. From 2018 to 2022, there was a 34% increase in industry-wide private label sales, totaling more than $57 billion.
While some other grocers might have private label offerings, this is the existence of what we do.
Aldi has thrived during recessions. The 2008 financial crisis sparked its growth and decision to add around 100 new stores per year.
What was really interesting is we never lost any of those customers. And as the economy improved and we had a really long run of economic improvement, Aldi grew throughout that entire period of time.
And now, as inflation drains Americans' wallets, Aldi continues to grow.
In the beginning, that was sort
Wow, I didn't know that they were buying Winn-Dixie. Wow. And you know what the interesting thing about this whole thing is that they're still a privately owned company. They're a family-owned German brand, privately owned, and they're acquiring assets and continuing to grow in the United States of America because they understand the business aspect of things. I wish I could buy into Aldi and invest into them. I think it is a great brand company. If they ever IPO, I'm definitely going to be the first in line to try to become one of the first shareholders and buy a significant amount of stock because, and it's not even that we need to look to invest in these companies. A lot of times we can also implement some of these same strategies and marketing tactics in our own lives, but we don't do so because we're so busy being caught up with marketing and branding as far as the Joneses, trying to be the Joneses and keeping up with the Joneses instead of understanding how the human mind and the human psyche works in order for us to drive profitability in the companies that we then have.